this is a group of musicians that I've worked with over the years, all except Yelena. We've never played all together in one group, me and Adam and Drew and Gerald. Um, and it's a very interesting way that Yelena writes and the way she thinks about music, like the way she would describe every song before we did it. She clearly has a strong like visual or like a memory that's associated with everything, and you can feel that in the way she writes and the music itself, that it kind of evokes a feeling, and that seems to be the center of where she's approaching music from, which I like a lot, you know. And it's kind of interesting because she doesn't really approach it like a jazz musician in a certain way. It's hard to explain, but she has just another way of thinking about it. You know, she doesn't have maybe the same kind of background that we do, playing tons of standards and, you know, doing that a lot. So she's very creative, and she comes at it from an angle that I think sometimes we might not think of because we're so inside of a style, you know. So yeah, it was, you know, it was a real joy to be a part of, and she's such a sweetheart that made it a lot of fun.
Nailed it. We're rolling, just
Okay.
feel free to say anything.
Hi, I'm Drew Gress. I'm playing bass on Yelena's project, and this is my second project with her, and I really dig playing her music because she's kind of like no one else. She's doing her own thing. There's elements of through composed composition, and she has a really interesting take on how linear shapes combine to create harmony, and it's kind of unpredictable and personal, and I really enjoy being part of her music, so hopefully you'll enjoy it in the same way.
Awesome.
It was a really wonderful session. In addition to Yelena, the group is populated with some of my favorite musicians. So that was a pleasure. And Yelena's music is quite beautiful and really unique. I would say, you know, quite different than a normal jazz record in that it's more through composed. She has a really beautiful sound on the piano, and I wouldn't describe it as being like a classical / jazz record because it sounds more sort of I don't know, like she's assimilated these influences and is expressing them in a very I don't know what the word is, like very already very processed way. I mean, processed in a really good way. And the music is very playable and really lovely. It's been a great experience. Cool.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thank you.
Whatever you wanna say.
Well, session went, I think, extremely well. Yelena has some very idiosyncratic music, very evocative, and it was a real pleasure to play it with, especially with her and these other fine musicians.
Cool. You guys played before together, right?
In various configurations, I played with everybody.
But
yeah.
first recording with Yelena?
The first recording with
First
Yelena,
recording?
yeah.
Is there much difference between any other repertoire you've recorded before, or like, because I know.
Say that again.
Is there much difference in these pieces that you guys recorded versus other repertoire that you normally record?
Well, one thing I like about it is she gives a lot of freedom regarding what I can play, but that gives me the feeling that I want to come up with very specific types of sounds throughout her pieces, so it gives maybe a little more order and not strictness, but a certain kind of cohesion from sound to sound. That's one thing I like about it.
Okay. I'm James Farber. I've been working with Yelena for about a few years on several records, and
She always comes really prepared, and her music is really well thought out and arranged, and she always calls the best New York musicians to play her music, and it's always different depending on what she writes for a certain project, and sometimes it calls for a violin or a saxophone or a guitar, and it's always a nice orchestration and a nice session, and she has a beautiful touch on the piano, and I think we made a lot of nice records together.